This person still suffers from the idea of having pulled away from you, and the first thing I need to tell you today is that this distance did not erase what was lived, did not silence what remained in the heart, and could not destroy the mark you left. There may have been distance, silence, pride, or confusion, but none of that was strong enough to tear the memory of your presence from inside this person. And I say this with great care, because when a message like this arrives, it touches exactly that part of the chest that tries to move forward but still feels that something is badly resolved. Some people pull away thinking they will find peace. Some people distance themselves thinking that time will resolve everything on its own. And in my vision, this is one of the greatest mistakes of whomever runs away from a strong connection. Because when true feeling exists, pulling away does not bring real relief. It even creates silence on the outside. But on the inside, it increases questions, reignites memories, and makes the absence feel heavier than the presence ever was. And that is what the angels are showing today. This person tried to pull away from you, but could not pull away from what they feel. If you are listening to this right now with a heavy heart, stay with me until the end. I know it is not simple to listen to a message like this when there is longing, when there was surrender, when you tried to understand what happened and did not receive all the answers. I know that for a woman who loved truly, the silence of the other often hurts more than a harsh word, because silence makes the mind create 1,000 scenarios. Silence leaves wounds open. Silence looks like abandonment, even when behind it there is confusion, fear, and regret. And that is exactly what the angels want to talk to you about today. Not about an empty distance, not about a forgotten story, but about someone who to this day carries the weight of their own choice. This person looks back, even without admitting it. They recall conversations, scenes, gestures, small details that at the time might have seemed common, but now have gained another size. What before was treated with distraction, today is remembered with longing. What before was left aside, today is seen as something rare. You know what I think when I listen to a message so? I think about how many people only understand the value of a presence when they can no longer touch it with the same ease. And that hurts. It hurts whomever pulled away, but it also hurts whomever stayed trying to understand if they were too little, if they were replaceable, if they weren't enough. So I want to remind you of something right now. This person's distance does not define your value. Their error does not diminish the woman you are. Their fear does not erase the truth of the connection that existed. Before continuing, write this mantra in the comments. I have not lost my value. I remain surrounded by light and truth. Write it with faith, because when you write, your heart begins to agree with what heaven wants to strengthen inside you. What the angels show now is that this person entered into a silent conflict after pulling away. On the outside, maybe they tried to look firm. Maybe they showed coldness. Maybe they followed life as if nothing had shaken them so much. But inside, the story was different. There were nights of overthinking, moments of comparison, frustrated attempts to convince themselves that they had made the best choice. And the more this person tried to justify the distance, the more they felt the discomfort of knowing they left behind someone who did them good in a rare way. Have you already noticed how certain connections don't leave the memory with ease? No matter the time, no matter the scenario, no matter the mind's effort to erase, there is a presence that remains, and that is what is happening. The angels show that you remained. Not necessarily in contact, not necessarily in the routine, but in the emotional memory of this person. On certain days, it took only listening to a song to remember you. On others, it was a smell, a phrase, a place, a time of the night, a sudden emptiness in the middle of something common. And in those instances, the truth returned. This person suffers because they know the distance didn't happen out of lack of importance. It happened out of internal disorder. It happened out of fear of feeling too much, out of not knowing how to handle the intensity, out of pride, out of emotional immaturity, out of not being ready to sustain a connection that demanded truth. And maybe that is one of the hardest parts to accept. You weren't left aside for being too little. Many times, a strong, present and true woman scares precisely whomever still doesn't know how to love with clarity. I'm going to tell you one thing with much affection. Not all distance signifies absence of feeling. Sometimes it signifies incapacity. Sometimes it signifies that the other felt too much and backed away. Sometimes it signifies that there was love, but there was no emotional structure to stay. And I know that this doesn't erase the wound, but it brings understanding. And understanding is important because it prevents you from transforming the other's failure into an accusation against yourself. The angels show me also that this person lived a type of silent comparison after pulling away. They compared what they find in others with what they lived with you. They compared empty conversations with the depth they had by your side. They compared shallow presences with the emotional weight of your energy. And that is why the distance turned into a weight, because now this person knows that certain connections don't repeat easily. Take a deep breath for an instant. Place your hand on your heart and feel this message. It is not about feeding an illusion. It's about seeing what was covered up. It's about understanding that there exists regret where you perhaps imagined indifference. And when the truth appears, a lot of things inside us shift places. The angels show that this person has been thinking about what they would say if they had the courage to get closer. Yes, there exists this internal movement. There is a rehearsed conversation. There exists a request for approach that still hasn't gained form. There exists a desire to know if there is still space, if there is still openness, if there still exists any bridge between you. Only along with that exists fear. Fear of your reaction. Fear of discovering that you are no longer in the same place. Fear of perceiving that time passed and that maybe it is not so simple to return. Now I want to ask you for a simple but powerful thing. Write in the comments 777 as an act of agreement with this message and of openness for that, the spiritual clarity reach your heart. And if this message is truly helping you and you feel it in the heart, you can support this channel with a donation through the QR code of the video or by the link that is in the description and pinned comment. This gesture of affection helps this word to continue reaching people who also are needing comfort, direction, and hope. What I am going to reveal to you now can change your form of seeing this person's silence. The angels show that they are not just feeling longing, they are feeling consequence. And there is a difference. Longing is missing someone. Consequence is perceiving the weight of what they did. This person is dealing with the idea that they pulled away from someone who could have been a place of peace, of complicity, and of truth. And that messes deeply with the conscience. There are hours when the mind of this person tries to diminish everything as a form of defense. It tries to say that it was better this way, that they needed to follow, that it was necessary to cut ties, that each one took their path. But the heart disments. The heart remembers, the heart shows the whole that remained, and against that there is not always an escape. That's why the angels say that, as much as this person tries to maintain the appearance of control, inside there exists a constant restlessness. I believe a lot that when heaven allows certain connections to happen, they leave marks that don't obey human pride. You can even pull away physically, but you cannot command the emotional echo of what was true. And it is this echo that is reaching this person now. An echo that says, you pulled away, but you didn't free yourself. You went away, but you didn't forget. You tried to follow, but you continue carrying this story inside. Perhaps you have already asked yourself if this person regretted. The angels show that yes, but this regret didn't always appear in a mature manner. At some moments it came as irritation. At others, as negation. at others as an attempt to observe you from far without exposing themselves. Because regret doesn't always arrive dressed in humility right at the beginning. Sometimes it arrives as internal confusion, as discomfort, as a sensation of loss, as a difficulty to connect with other things in the same way. If you are not subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel and stay with us. Here, there is always a word of faith for when the heart needs to breathe and find direction. The angels ask that you don't take this message as an order to wait, and that is important. You are not hearing this to pause your life, to annul yourself, or to live in function of someone's indecision. You are hearing this to understand that there was feeling, that there was impact, that there exists weight on this person's conscience, and that your value did not pass unnoticed. This message doesn't trap you. This message clarifies you. There is something very important happening behind this situation. This person is beginning to perceive that pulling away didn't protect anything. It didn't heal what needed to be healed. It didn't bring the peace they imagined. It didn't fill what they tried to avoid. On the contrary, it increased the sensation of lack. And when that happens, the person begins to review their own decisions with other eyes. The angels show very specific scenes. Moments when this person stayed looking at a screen without the courage to send a message. Instants when they typed something and erased it. Days when they wanted to know about you through someone. Hours when they desired to hear your voice but contained themselves out of fear. This doesn't signify that everything will be resolved in the way you imagine, but it signifies that the feeling didn't die. It signifies that the distance wasn't so definitive in the plane of the heart as it seemed in the plane of the attitude. And here, I need to speak to you with sincerity. Sometimes the woman who listens to a message of these thinks, then why don't they return soon? And that question is fair, very fair, because feeling without attitude tires whomever loves. Only the angels show that this person still freezes in a battle between what they feel and the courage to assume what they feel. There is pride still. There exists fear of being rejected. There exists shame for having hurt. There exists the recio of finding in you a new strength, a firmer posture, a woman who no longer accepts emotional crumbs. In my vision, this also makes part of your healing. Because during a long time, maybe you have waited for some sign, and now heaven shows you not to weaken you, but to return a truth to you. You deeply marked this person, and nobody deeply marks the other being little. Nobody leaves an absence of this size being disposable. Nobody provokes this type of internal conflict in the other being insignificant. Write in the comments a list of people, including yourself, whom you would like to forgive. Visualize each of them. Send love and say, I forgive you and I release you. May peace be with you. Feel the lightness this brings. Because there are phases when forgiveness is not about reconciling, it's about not letting the wound command you. The angels show that, despite the suffering of this person, there exists a bigger movement happening in you. You are getting more conscious of what you deserve. You are getting more sensitive to that which is real and to what is shallow. You are learning that love without clarity disorganizes. You are understanding that a strong connection is no excuse to accept absence without limit. And I like much of this part of the message, because it doesn't place you as someone waiting to be chosen. It places you as someone who also chooses. Listen to me with affection. If this person pulled away and started to suffer, that process is theirs. The other cannot stop their own life waiting for the courage that still wasn't born on the other side. This message is not to trap you, it's to strengthen you. In my vision, one of the greatest errors of whomever loves much is thinking that they need to carry the entire story on their back for it to happen. They don't need to. What is true finds a path, but also finds posture. If this person really wants to cross that fear, they are going to have to exit from that place. They are going to have to look for you with more truth. They are going to have to act. Because thinking of you is important, but it is not enough. Feeling is deep, but it is not enough. In some moment, heaven also asks for movement. The angels ask that you don't despair with the silence. Instead of that, use that time to gain clarity about what you desire to live. Do you want someone that loves you hidden, or someone that has the courage to love you openly? Do you want a connection full of signs, or a real presence, mature, consistent? Make this question to yourself with sincerity, because that understanding is going to protect you emotionally. The angels are sending you a special sign. Your lucky number for today is 8. Write in the comments, I receive the energy of the angels. My lucky number is 8, and I receive this message with faith. The number 8 talks of strength, return, awareness, and of that which returns to be placed in order. I know that a part of you might be moved now, and maybe another part is tired. Maybe there exists inside you a mix of, I wanted to hear this, with, I don't know if I still want to live this. And I think that very human, very true, because the heart of a woman is not made of one emotion only. It misses someone and protects itself at the same time. It remembers and tries to preserve itself. It loves and also learns. The angels show that your light stayed registered in the history of this person. Your way of caring, your sensitivity, your presence, your form of listening, your truth. And maybe in that time, this wasn't valued as it should have been. Only now, with the absence, everything gained another dimension. There are things that are only comprehended when they leave of being at the reach of the hand. And that is happening. But still there exists a part of this message that you need to understand. The suffering of this person didn't come only to show regret. It came to show spiritual and emotional consequence of the choices that are made without truth. When someone pulls away from something precious out of fear, pride, or imbalance, the soul feels it. And the soul charges understanding, not as a punishment, but as an apprenticeship. Share this video with 2 dear people who need this message today. And if you can, leave also in the comments a prayer for your guardian angel. When many people unite in faith, something very beautiful happens in the spiritual environment. I feel that this message arrived at an important moment for you. Maybe because your heart was needing to confirm that it wasn't your madness, that it wasn't your invention, that what you felt had foundation. And yes, it had. The angels confirmed that there was truth in this connection. There was weight, there was feeling, there was something that bypassed the superficial. The problem is that feeling and knowing how to conduct what one feels are different things. Now heaven invites you to stay in peace. Not a feigned peace, not a rushed peace, but a peace built on truth. The truth that you were important. The truth that this person still suffers with the idea of having pulled away. The truth that their silence did not annul the mark you left. And the truth that, above all, your life doesn't depend on the emotional courage of anyone to continue flourishing. If a rencontro happens, may it be clear. If a conversation comes, may it come clean. If a reconnection arises, may it not be by half. And if nothing of this happens in the time you imagined, even so, you didn't lose. Because the woman who learns to see herself with the eyes of truth never exits empty from a story. She exits more conscious, more strong, and more aligned with what she deserves to live. So today, upon finishing this message, I want you to do a small gesture for yourself. Breathe deeply, give thanks for no longer being in the dark, and say inside your heart, I accept only what comes with truth, respect, and presence, because that is what you deserve. If this message spoke with you, write in the comments, whoever pulled away from me did not erase the light I left. Share your experience like this video and subscribe to the channel for more messages like this. Thank you for being here with me. May God bless your life, and until the next video.